back with another one. I'm coming with y'all with humanism with a part two, and we're going to talk about the things that we're going to talk about relating to the moral universalism of the uh, the ideology of humanism. And part one, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the Eudamianism. We talked about that aspect of humanism, and we talked about every philosophy. We talked about the history of it, the Democritus, Thales, uh, Pythagoras. We talked about skepticism, liberalism, and individualism, right? Connecting to the ideology as well. And then we're going to look closely to moral universalism. Universalism. We're going to talk about that tonight. That's our part two discussion, connecting to the dots as we see fit. And we're just going to click on moral universalism right now. And then we're going to go into our little log of humanism. And I'm going to read back and forth. And humanism, if y'all wasn't here the last time, it's it's one of those ideologies people claim they are. So let's see right quick. We'll go get into the studio. Y'all give me 1 second. And we're just speaking on it. But tonight, that's what I'm gonna talk about tomorrow. It's gonna be exciting. It's the last time I'm gonna show screenshots, and we're pretty much in it. And that's just how we're gonna do it. Whatever. Now it's like saying, and that's how I'm gonna be. And we're gonna talk about it. I'm not drowsy like I normally be because I did a lot and all that other stuff. So I usually be well rested. Let's see what we got here in the studio. Let's see here. Let's see here. Shared. Select. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, then post this. Okay. All right. Here we go. Here we go. So we're talking about humanism in its proper form. Like in case y'all missed it last week, I talked about the introduction of it, and also talk about the history of humanism. Of course, they talk about skepticism, liberalism, individualism. Then we talk about Saint Thomas, and then we talk about other scholars like Pythagoras, Demi, Demetrius, Demetrius, or Agonagoras from 570 to 480 BCE to Perseus, like the century 495 to 429 BCE by Pythagoras. And then the historian, of course, I talked about that other times too. So in the scholastics, we talked about the Renaissance humanism. We talked about a lot of things. So basically, if you want to know what it is, it's the ethical, metaphysical, epistemological, and political philosophies in which human interest values the dignity of preeminate. It has an ultimate faith in humankind, believes that the human beings possess the power or potentially of solving their own problems through reliance primarily upon reason and scientific method applied with courage and vision. That's the introduction I gave y'all. I believe was it the last week? I believe so, and I talked about it, and it's in its form. So we're gonna get into the moral universalism in a minute. So in comparison, it deals with somewhat of morality and how we compare to this stuff and things like that. Why humanism is important. I've heard this ideology a lot, so pretty much people are gonna get caught up on it and in the wind of it or in these motions. But like I said, humanism has its effects, has its own, due diligence and things like that. But that's just how we see it. We see fit, and then that's just basically what it is. So I understand what's going on. I understand. But the fact remains, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Oh, that's just that's just how it's going to be. And I understand why humanism is so important to certain people, but it's like in a broad category, like it says up here. But we will talk about Udamianism in the future. That's going to be a future stream. I may do that next month, and we're going to discuss this because we're going to talk about humanism and then individualism in all its ways. And they say they believe in a naturalistic, metaphysical attitude towards the universe that considers all forms of supernatural as myth, regards of nature as the totality of being, and a constantly changing the system of matter and energy which exists independently of any mind or consciousness, and it rejects the validity of transcendental transcendental justifications such as dependence on belief without reason, the supernatural or text or allegedly divine origin. That's what it says. And we're going to read this part again. It rejects the validity of transcendental transcendental justifications such as the dependence on a belief without reason, the supernatural or texts of allegedly divine origin. That's what it says metaphysically. It considers faith an unacceptable basis for action, and it holds that it is up to the humans to find this truth, as opposed to the seeking through revelation, mysticism, tradition, or anything else that is incapable with the application of logic to the observable evidence. It is therefore generally compatible with atheism, agnosticism, but does not require these and can be compatible with some religions. It is an ethical process, not a dogma about the existence or otherwise of gods. To the extent it supplements or supplants the role of religions, it can be considered in some ways as an equivalent to a religion. And here's the epistemological doctrine that supports scientific skepticism and questions the veracity of claims lacking empirical evidence and scientific method, but the collection of data through observation and experimentations and the formulation of testing of hypotheses or hypotheses. And here is as a political philosophy, humanism emphasizes individual freedom and responsibility, human values, compassion, and then the need for tolerance and cooperation, and it rejects authoritarian beliefs. It affirms that we must take responsibility for our own lives and the communities and the world in which we live. But the term humanism was coined in 1808 based on the 15th century Italian term humanistia, which was originally used to designate a teacher or student of a classic literature. Humantia, or they that means humanism means humantia, which was originally used to designate a teacher or student of a classic literature. As we says before, as we say again. So yeah, let's get into it. Extra camera, add additional camera to the stream. Okay. So we're gonna get into moral universalism. We're gonna read it together. We're gonna just put ourselves in here. We're gonna big up the screen for a minute, and I'm gonna read it all to y'all. So yeah. Okay, let's knock this off for a minute. Okay, introduction of moral universalism. This is what we saw from humanism. Okay, it's a meta, it's a meta ethical position that I mean that there is a universal ethic which applies to all people, regardless of culture, race, sex, religion, nationality, sexuality, or other distinguishing feature, and all the time. A universal ethic is a moral system that applies universally to all humanity, thus transcend cultural and personal whim. But the sources or justification of this system is variously claimed to human nature, a shared vulnerability to suffering, but the demands of universal reason, common themes among existing moral codes, or the mandates of religion. It is the opposite of moral relativism, yeah, relativism, and the position that moral positions do not reflect objective and or universal moral truths, but instead making claims relative to social and cultural, historical, or personal circumstances. But it is related to, but not the same as moral realism. The position that certain acts are objectively right or wrong, independent of human opinion, and the moral absolutism, the belief that there are absolute standards against which moral questions can be judged and that certain actions are right or wrong, regardless of the context of act. But to the extent, particularly if the universal ethic is considered to be derived or inferred from what it is common among existing moral codes. It can be seen as a compromise between moral absolutism and moral realism. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, Aristotle, and Stoics believed in a kind of a universalism opposing the moral relativism of the sophists, as did Immanuel Kant, another utilitarian person. What is it's a subject called Kantianism, but it's similar to utilitarianism. Here we go again, especially in this theory of the categorical imperative. John Locke, John Stuart Mill, of course, yes, and Ayn Rand, 1905, 1982. Many religions, including Christianity, Islam, have morally universal positions and regard their system of morality as having been set by a deity. Therefore, absolute, universal, perfect, and unchangeable 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights of the United Nations can be seen as in global efforts to bring a universalist, equal, common moral justice to all people. And moral universalism is at least part and the basis for modern human rights, an integral a part of any humanist philosophy, which is true. And here's the criticisms of moral universalism. Criticism of moral universalism are similar to those of moral absolutism. How do we know what the universal morals are? For morals to be truly universal and absolute, they would have to have a universally unquestioned source, interpretation, and authority, which critics claim is an impossibility. Is an impossibility. And here's the second part. The sheer diversity of moral opinions which exist between societies and even within societies in the world today suggests that there cannot be a single universal morality, which is true. And we're going to go to moral absolutism if y'all want to know. And that's just how we're going to get down. I want to see what's going on in here. And shouts out to the people that came. Someone came to the clouds. I appreciate y'all. Oh, shit. Let me see some. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. Okay. I hit the wrong thing. God damn it. Yeah. Let's see. So, I'm getting something real quick. My head is like swimming right now. Trying to kill this sinus. Get this bug off me. All right. So we're going to talk about this all in tandem. So we're just going to get this out of the way. I'll go an hour long on this. So y'all just bear with me. I got to get this thing in motion. We're going to start reading. And then we're going to see what moral absolutism is ethical. We're going to see what this has to say. I almost just read it for y'all. My fault. Okay. Introduction of it. Moral absolutism is the ethical belief that there are there are absolute standards against which moral questions can be judged, like we just read from moral universalism. And then the certain actions are right and wrong, regardless of the context of the act. Thus, the actions are inherently moral or immoral, regardless of the beliefs and goals of the individual, society, or cultural that engages in the actions. It holds that morals are inherent in the laws of the universe, but the nature of humanity, the will of God, or some other fundamental source. It is the opposite of moral relativism. Relativism. Yeah. Relativism. Yeah. Okay. The position that moral positions propositions do not reflect the objective or universal moral truths, but instead make claims relative to social and cultural, historical, or personal circumstances, but it is related to but not the same as moral realism. But the position of that certain acts are objectively right or wrong, independent of human opinion. And in moral universalism, we just read that, the position that there is a universal ethic which applies to all people, regardless of culture, race, sex, religion, nationality, sexuality, or distinguishing feature. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, Aristotle believed in a kind of absolutism or universalism. We just read that, didn't we? Of course, same people, royal relativism, talking about Kant, of course, prominent promoter of moral absolutism and his formulation of the deont, deontological theory of the categorical imperative was essentially absolutist in nature. But moral absolutism has been favored historically large because it makes the certain of laws and the upholding of the judicial system in much simpler manifests itself outdated concepts such as the divine right of kings. You see, divine right of kings, as y'all notice, and that's what they're coming with. We'll get to this next part. You know what I'm saying? But sorry about that. Nerves acting up. Many religions have morally absolutist positions that regarding their system of morality have been set by a deity. Therefore, absolute, perfect, and unchangeable, and many Christians regarding the Christian theology as a teaching a hierarchy of moral absolutes known as graded absolutism, where in the case of the conflict between the two absolutes, the duty made the higher one, God exempts one from the duty to the lower ones, humans or still lower property. Divine common theory is an absolutist meta ethical theory that of an act is obligatory if only if it's commanded by the God. William of Ackman argued that if God had commanded murder, then murder would indeed have been morality obligatory, obligatory, yeah, obligatory. And sometimes moral absolutism can mean that the moral extreme positions that the actions are moral, immoral, regardless of circumstances, which is they occur. Lying has always been immoral, even if done to promote some other good, such as to save a life. In this form, it can be contrast with consequentialism. I talk about that a lot every now and then on my channel. I've got a couple of streams on it. And that's it. Consequentialism is similar to utilitarianism, as of course they deal with moral fibers, but it's like liberal morals. That's all I'm gonna say about that one. In which morality is right and actions is one that produces a good consequence or outcome, regardless of the intentions. Here comes the criticisms of moral absolutism and primary criticism of moral absolutism regards how we come to know what we absolute morals are. For morals to be truly absolute, they would have to have a universally unquestioned source interpretation and authority, which critics claim is impossibility. And another of the more obvious criticism is the sheer diversity of moral opinions which exist between societies, even within societies. In the world today, we suggest that there cannot be a single true morality. A consequentialist would have argued that it cannot be right for a moral absolutist to be unprepared to kill one man in order to prevent the deaths of many others, although this would rather be an extreme or dogmatic example of moral absolutism. That's what they're talking about. So let's give y'all, if y'all case when I'm talking about connection to humanism, because they say it's a moral right and we define our own morals and shit like that. So I'm gonna put this in the chat. So this is a read off discussion. I'm gonna go like this. Hold on for a minute. I'm gonna say copy. And what I'll do in the chat is paste something. Yeah. There you go. There you go. And now let's get on with the second one. Copy. All right. So all right, we gotta deal with this in a minute. All right, all right, all right. So that's all I want to cover, that piece of it. And that's what I'm talking about it in human. And since we got, I'm just this off for a minute. So we talk about the metaphysical and things like that nature. You know how it is. But yeah, humanism is one of those things that just get caught up on and people just being in what it is. But those are the two that's connected to it. Y'all can read for yourselves. And yes, I talked about moral universalism, and then we talked about what is here, and then we just read, and I gave you that first link. That's called moral absolutism. Pretty spot on. I just want to touch the topic of what it is and just get it over with. And things of nature it's come to my attention. That's the thing that you need to understand that most of the times when you talk about these ideologies, they just come to fruition and things like that. Yeah, exit page. They try to say it's unresponsive. What the fuck is going on? I don't know why these pages are unresponsive. Man, YouTube, y'all better fix y'all shit. God, this site is dying, bro. This is so fucking dying. And then you know why people don't like streaming on here. I don't like streaming on it. Period. It's only cycles, all this other shit. Live shit ain't nobody tired no live shit. They just talking with that. And I'm just using example of humanism, believing this bullshit, and they so as hell. They don't throw in everybody else's lives. People just they don't live in the reality. They're stuck in their heads. They act like they got a Pisces mindset. It's one of the worst signs of all time. They're dreamers. That's all they are. They're dreamers. They dream about a lot of bullshit, and some comes their way. It's pretty much over. You know what I'm saying? I'm not tripping off of people getting mad or anything else, and it's just it's just what it is, man. It is what it is. And see my man. But it's like we see this all the time. So, and then you got people just get caught up on it. And my head is a rock right now. Oh, it hurts. We're gonna have to fix that. This thing off the screen. Yeah, I ain't gonna charge it too long because phone off tomorrow night. I ain't gonna be mess y'all. I'll be looking at my shit, and then it's just gonna be what it is. And this loading is ridiculous, right? But yeah, that's all I want to cover. But mainly I'm just we're looking at all the things in humanism. Of course, we talk about the second. We talked about things like that. So it's pretty much oh shit. Humanism. My fault. I hit the wrong thing and running my fucking mouth. Okay, here we go. Post, and then we talk about the Marxist humanism, the integral humanism. There's a capitalism, socialism, and social anarchy. You had that here. So, quiet as kept, it's pretty much the same as always. People just get caught up on. Damn, I am so tired of this shit. Ugh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with my shit. Something telling me it's the loading screens is acting up. You know what I'm saying? But that's when you have too many problems. I'm gonna knock this video shit off. Hold on. I got so many tabs. Let y'all breathe a little bit. I have to cut back on certain things. I've been busy lately. Next week, I don't know. I'll see what's on my schedule because I know that's a holiday. If I'm willing to do that, but we'll see. We'll see on the Thursday thrills because I'm pretty much get done with it and things like that. But the humanism, I just want to talk about that tonight and feel to let y'all in something. That we talk about things that people think from a so-called human being concept or they're humanists and all that. That's quite interesting. Find it very interesting. So why would people do that? You know, and that's how I look at it. But and that's how I look at it. But the human way and philosophy and things like that. It's just what it is. Some people don't get caught up on things and expect much, and some people get caught up. That's how I do things, but you know, yeah, this loading screen is acting up. But that's all I want to talk about. We talked about it enough, as we can tell, in so many entails. So I can find some more or whatever. But yeah, humanism is what it is. It's one of those philosophies that people get caught up on and they just build off on. So I always seen people try new things and things just don't go their way. I'm just looking at some things. Let's see what's going on here. All right, we ain't worried about that. So the humanist branch and all that stuff. We just talked about the main thing: universal properties and universalism and things like that. So as you can tell, like we was going in on it, and then y'all see the links in the chat. Y'all can check them out and study them for yourself, or put them in your watch lists and your favorites. And that's what I'm trying to compare to what part one, what I said, and in so many words. So I wish I had a video to play with y'all with the humanism stuff. And what I was talking about is pretty much explain what part one was. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the thing about humanism. And then when you do things like that, you expect what's going on and what's happening as we speak. Now, that's just it. But if you look at it from that perspective, you understand that people think like that. They want to distract you what's really going on, and they ain't really living that lifestyle. It's just a fantasy to them. See, they're very like a social anarchy or anarchists in a way. It's like they expected people just to come through and just see for what it is. But that's just goes to show you what's going on. But when you talk about humanism, you just get into it and act that emotion. So yeah, I see it for what it is. But when I was thinking about humanism in its so-called form and people talking about it, some people practice it a little bit. It's a small minority, but the majority of people they're not. They're just in it for the ride. That's usually the way it is. And that's how I look at it. You can't expect much from people talking about you and doing things that's obvious, especially if you say you come from a humanist aspect. You can't save everybody. I used to have that mindset while I was like probably 14 on down. Once I got 15, I lost myself and saw how the world really worked. That's when I got extreme with it. I wasn't no humanist, thank God. You people that try to be humanists, y'all the problem, not a solution. How the world really works. That's basically all I got. I think all I got. And that's what it is. And that's how you gotta look at it. But you gotta understand when humanism part two came into my mind, I was gonna talk about the moral universalism and the moral absolutism, and it's very common they put that in there in the ideology because that's how it feels like. It has an absolutism a little bit, and it also has the typical, you know, we ain't gonna get into that. We're just not gonna get into that. And that's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking about all the humanist people I've met that thought like that. It's plenty. I worked with a guy that's a diabetic, and he's in New Orleans, and he had that humanist mindset. I said, man, look at this dude living in a fantasy land. They're dreamers. But that's how people think when they're humanists or whatever. And then they get caught up in their own shit, not based in reality. That's basically what humanism is to me, from what I can tell. It's like the ideologies and the types that I've seen all the time. They come full prepared. And that's how I look at it. But that's how I'm gonna look at it. Hey, what's going on, Mike? Salute. But yeah, humanism is one of those philosophies I just want to touch on. This is like part two, and I'm thinking about just leaving at this because when you talk about moral universalism and absolutism, they all align with this. That's how people think, and it's not so absolute all the time because some people will say different things to start an argument. I just saw recently with George Macon talking about this Jewish guy going against Zionism. You know that sounds familiar. I'm use that example because he wants all peace for somewhat of humanity, and then he was anti them. And come to find out, and I watched that clip, and I'm glad I watched it the other night. That actually helped me in the long run because you're actually helping me understanding how the world really works. And shouts out to George Macon for that because if it wasn't for that, I don't know what to say. Thank him or whatever, because him posting that lets me know we're on the right page. So, my brother, man, keep up the great work. It is what it is. They said anti-Semitic. That's what they try to use as Jew. That's Zion saying it. His name is Yisrael David or David Weiss. Speak against the Zionism, real and the Asian of Jews, but we ain't gonna get into that because he's coming from a humanist perspective. Everybody else is like that, and I got to post on the community tab. And shouts out to George Macon for breaking it down for us, and it has to be a real lifestyle to understand. But it's pretty much all the same. But people get caught up on the wrong stuff, and then you got to understand, moral relativism is a thing, and that's how you got to look at it. And that's how I look at it. But people get caught up on how those two terms align with humanism. Well, it has a foundation. I read to you last week what it stands for, and yes, it deals with that stuff. That universal doctrine that people be preaching. I understand, to try to maintain order. It's pretty much people get caught up on the wrong stuff. So, and that's all I got on humanism too. And pretty much I'm just gonna explain that this stuff always existed, but there's a thing. And you just gotta look at it. For what I can tell, a lot of people don't really practice it. It's just in a fantasy land where people say some people try to pass it, but it takes a minute. And that's how you gotta look at it. for that angle. But yep, let's go on a generous salute, salute. But like I'll wait till the hour mark comes in and just kill it because that's all I want to talk about. That's all I got on humanism. But yeah, it's just like we always said, it has this little messaging and things like that nature, and it's pretty much you just trying to build off what you've left off, what humanism has utterly done. So my cash is in the yellow. Oh, let me see for a minute. 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 It dropped a little bit. Okay, okay, okay. Good, 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 good. Alex, settings, stream health. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see what's going on here. Yeah, so it's concurrent. Okay, okay. Let me stop. Let me stop acting crazy. But again, when you talk about it, and I think I've yet to see people practice it in publicly, things like that, but they really don't get involved in things like that. But when you understand that humanism, the ideology do exist, but it's very limited in things like that. And that's why people don't really they use the moral universalism and absolutism go against versus moral relativism, like another philosophy that people study and have different things how they look at and upon like you got these niggas online expect okay, we're in the green, okay, good, we're in the clear. So it's like they talk about traveling and pussy all day, but not really studying the ideology. They just throw random stuff. At least I do the research and just break down syllables, what's going on. So you know what I'm saying? Like we understand that. We understand that. Mm. We understand that. This girl's name Maya. Hell, that's my sister's name. Let's see what Maya talks about. I might not even. I ain't got no screenshot for y'all. Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I might skip that. If she had no show. Yeah. It's just like, we understand. We understand. And that's just how we look at it. And then you expect people to just, be on here like that and then expect people to talk to you. Don't work like that. So I understand people get caught up and say, hey, we're not in here to just to talk to people. We're just in there to just have our little moment. Right. So we see this all the time. We see this all the time. We see this all the time. And that's how I look at everything else in the world. And, that's just how it's going to be. But, like, the time is ticking, but, I'm not in no rush. Just telling y'all about humanism and things like that. Let's look up some more of it. I might got something for y'all. Talk about humanism. No, no, no. Y'all excuse me. I got that song from a rock song, and I went on a roll this week. Let's see what this American Human Association. Oh, this is gonna be good. Definition of humanism. Okay. We're gonna do this real quick. Hold on for a minute. I got something to read for y'all. Hold on. Let's read this quick. All right. I'll read it to y'all. It says humanism is a regressive philosophy of life that without ism or other supernatural beliefs affirms our ability and responsibility to lead ethical laws of personal fulfillment and that uh, aspire to the greater good. That sounds like a utilitarian concept, by the way. That's how most people think in this country. They have that humanism mindset, but it's not realistic. What's a replacement to that is utilitarian concepts. They are very liberal and over time. It's daunting. That's how I'm gonna look at it. And let's look at the last part. It says it's a rational philosophy informed by science, inspired by art, motivated by compassion, affirming that the dignity of each human being supports the maximization of individual liberty and opportunity, consonant with the social planetary responsibility, and it advocates the extension of participatory par- participatory democracy. That's an interesting word. Participatory democracy and the extension of the open society, standing for human rights and social justice, free of the supernaturalism, and to recognize human beings as a part of the nature, and it holds that values by a religions, ethical, social, or political, have their sources in human experience and culture. Humanism thus derives the goal of life from a human and need to interest rather than from other theological or ideological abstractions, ideological abstractions, and it asserts that the humanity must take responsibility for its own destiny. Humanist magazine, right? That's what we got. See, Humanist magazine talks about the ethical life stance, blah blah blah. Reality talks about the approach. Many definitions, but if y'all want to know, y'all here y'all go. I know y'all niggas love definitions. Y'all repeat yourself here. You talk and say talking points that don't really matter at the moment. So let me get this out the way. Let me see something real quick. Uh, yeah, I'm just getting qualified over here. But yeah, that's how I look at humanism and things like that. So I'll put this in the chat. Just drop it. It's the last one. Y'all can add this to your collection, save it or whatever. And that's what it is. That's the definition. So we're gonna cut it right here because the time is getting away. So it's pretty much it. That's all I got. On humanism and things like that. Well, people think humanism is a thing. It just comes in here. Oh, he said, "What up? My fault. My fault. My fault." Right here, and then we just go here. So yeah, it is what it is. And oh God, yeah, yeah. Oh, we gonna have fun. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It is what it is. But she got an interesting name. Very interesting. And that's how I look at it from now on. But you got people just getting caught up on some shit, but they try to claim they're utilitarian or humanist, but it's further from the truth. They use it as a cover, cop out in meetings and speeches and all the other stuff. Just be careful of dealing with those people in conversation. They're really out there like that. So it's pretty much the same. As always, like I said, appreciate y'all coming through. Degenerate and Mike, appreciate y'all, man, and the people in the clouds. Well, shouts out to y'all. Like I said, humanism has its course, it ran its course when we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it part two. So it's pretty much I'm out of the loop on that one. So y'all expect me to change anything different. Y'all better think again. That's just how people want you to think. And then common sense tells you that the stuff does matter. It really matters at the end. That's how people look at you at the tail end and you be like, oh shit, this happening? Yeah, it happened. You just gotta get your mind off and your mind right, and there you are. But you got people just get caught up on real stuff and expect people to just lie there and they're crazy. But that's how you gotta look at it. That's how you gotta look at it. Oh shit. Stuff coming from the back. Hold on for a minute. I don't want to hit that. All right. Yeah. Throw this little mess away because and before I get done just talking and whatever, I'm just looking at sky watching, see what the bullshit's going on. But it's pretty much the same, like we'll be back tomorrow. I may give y'all some shots. I gotta see what I got in the archive and all that. Cause I don't know about this, this week. Cause I'm looking at this show right here. I'm just not really impressed. Yeah, we're not going to do anything like I ain't got much. I got something in the chamber. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll get some shots. If I see something interesting, I'll let y'all have it or whatever. But but yeah, we got to do something. But if she does something interesting, we'll know. So it's like this one is obviously like humanism is it's just people have that philosophy. I'm just like, man, I can't believe people still believe in this stuff. I should have touched on this earlier of last year, around this time as well. Should have touched on these topics. Then they get caught up on the real thing, and there it is. You see, brain is getting naughty, nodding up. Sinus blocking it. It's on the left side of my egg. It's like eggs right now scrambling, getting a little fatigued. But at first, I stayed up and just stayed relaxed. It is what it is. So, like I said, and once again, it's pretty much sums up what I think, what's going on, whatever. And pretty much it, I'm just like here, just talking to y'all about it. And yeah, it does exist in some aspects, and people just co sign it. But once you co sign it enough, you get in that emotion and you expect people just to be on that level with you. You know what I'm saying? Like You expect people to just come through and just like, hey, this is a guy I'm dealing with. And next thing you know, the killer got his car. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just how I'm gonna put it in it lightly. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, let's see where the time goes. So since we got here and there, oh my God. I'm so behind. My head is swirling like eggs right now. Yeah. I'm gonna say peace and shalom, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. And it's gonna be a shot. So with that, I'm gonna say peace, and I'm out.